The alien medical facility was quiet, filled with the low hum of machines and the soft lights of biochambers. Inside room 27B, a human male lay motionless on the bed. His skin was pale, his body covered in bruises and strange wounds. He had been found at the edge of the battlefield alone, bleeding, nearly dead. Valari, a young alien nurse, walked into the room with a towel in one hand and a soft glow wand in the other. Her species, the Zariel, were known for their careful, healing hands. She had trained for 3 years to work with wounded soldiers. But this was her first time seeing a real human. He looked different, stronger, rougher, yet peaceful. Valari hesitated near the bed. The other nurses whispered that humans were dangerous. Never touch them directly, they warned. Use gloves, stay alert. Their bodies react in unpredictable ways. Today, Valari was alone, and the human needed cleaning. His blood had dried on his chest. Dirt and battlefield dust clung to his face. He was unconscious, maybe in a deep healing coma. The machines said he was stable. Still, Valari's hands trembled slightly. She dipped the towel in warm cleansing gel and began to wipe his shoulder. Gently, the first touch shocked her. Not because of fear, but because his skin was so warm. It's warmer than any Zariel she had. Treated. She blinked, focusing harder, and moved to his collarbone, wiping away grime. The human's chest rose and fell slowly, steady, silent, but alive. Lara leaned in closer. She had seen pictures of humans in her training booklets, but never this close. His jaw was strong, his eyebrows thick. Small hairs grew along his chin and cheeks. She felt her face heat up, confused. Why am I staring? She whispered to herself. Shaking off the feeling, she pulled the blanket slightly lower to wipe his chest. Just a bit, just enough to clean around the ribs, and that's when it happened. Something stirred. Beneath the blanket, it was quick, just a twitch, but enough to make Valari drop the towel in surprise. She stepped back fast. Her heart racing. Was he waking up? Did he feel that? She glanced at the monitor. His heartbeat had jumped. Blood pressure spiked, body heat rising. Valari stared at the blanket as if it would move again. No. Maybe it was just a muscle reaction, she told herself. That could happen, right? Soldiers sometimes twitched while unconscious. She had read about it. Still, something inside her stirred to curiosity. She picked up the towel and wiped his neck. Gently this time. But her eyes kept flicking toward the lower part of the blanket, where the movement had happened, and then he spoke. A low, soft voice. Just one word. Water. Valari froze. He was awake. His lips barely moved, his eyes still closed, but he had spoken. It meant brain activity had returned. She rushed to the side table, poured a small amount of purified water into a drop feeder, carefully brought it to his mouth. His lips parted slightly, accepting the water. Then Dash's hand moved. It reached up, slowly, weakly, brushed against her wrist. Her body stiffened. Contact was brief, but electric. Her skin tingled from the touch. Thank you, the human whispered, eyes still closed. Valari took a shaky breath. This wasn't normal. She was supposed to call the doctor the moment a human patient regained consciousness, but she didn't move. She just stared at his face. He's thanking me. Zoriel warriors never thanked their nurses, but this human did. Suddenly the blanket moved again, this time more obviously. His body shifted under it, his muscles twitching in slow recovery. Larry stepped back again, unsure whether to call for help or stay and watch. She reached for the wall panel. Her finger hovered over the alert button. But didn't he just need rest? He didn't seem dangerous. In fact, he looked calm, vulnerable even. Valera bit her lip. She didn't press the button. Instead, she whispered, "You're safe now. Just rest." And the human, still half dreaming, replied in his soft earth accent, "Your voice sounds nice." Valera's eyes widened. Her translator implant buzzed lightly in her ear. The language mismatch caused small static cracks. Yet somehow, she understood his meaning perfectly, and strangely, A small smile crept across her face. She didn't know why, but in that quiet medical room, the machines blinking gently around them, something small and silent had begun to grow between the alien nurse and the human stranger beneath the blanket. Something she couldn't explain, something that stirred. Valari didn't sleep that night. She kept replaying the moment in her mind, the warmth of the human skin, the twitch beneath, the blanket, and most of all, the way he whispered, "Your voice sounds nice." No one had ever said that to her. In her species, words were cold and professional, but the human's tone was soft, kind, human. And that scared her more than anything else. By morning, she returned to room 27B, pretending it was just part of her shift. But her hands were a little too eager to check his vitals, her steps a little too fast down the hallway. She stopped outside the door, took a breath, and walked in. The human was still asleep, but not unconscious. His chest rose more steadily now. His lips moved slightly, as if dreaming. The blanket had shifted during the night, revealing more of his torso than before. Valari looked away quickly, cheeks glowing a soft lavender, her species' version of blushing. "I shouldn't feel like this," she told herself. "He's a patient, a different species, and I'm just curious, that's all." She pretended to busy herself with the scanner, but her eyes kept drifting back to him. His name was written on the chart. Jace Riker, a soldier from Earth 1. Of the last human survivors of the crashed shuttle from Sector 9, he had been found near a mountain ravine, barely breathing. The medics thought he wouldn't make it. Yet here he was, recovering faster than expected, and reacting strangely to her presence. Valari ran the scanner across his chest. The screen lit up with odd readings, accelerated pulse, heat spikes, minor arousal markers. She blinked, confused. Is this normal for humans? She checked the medical manual. No such symptoms were expected during healing sleep. Only one thing stood out. Proximity-triggered bonding response. Very rare. It's usually triggered by scent, skin contact, or deep emotional need. Valari swallowed hard. Bonding response. That wasn't possible. She was just a nurse, just another Zariel girl. No human would bond with her. She reached out and touched his wrist lightly. It's just a test. Instantly, the scanner beeped again, pulse rising, brainwave activity increasing. Even in sleep, his body responded to her. Her hand jerked away, but his fingers twitched toward her, like they missed the touch. Valari stood frozen, her heart pounding in her ears. This wasn't curiosity anymore. This was something else, something her people never talked about. She stepped back. The blanket shifted again, this time clearly. Something below stirred. It moved upward, forming a shape. Valari turned around quickly, eyes wide. "Okay, it's definitely not a healing reflex," she muttered. Her translator implant buzzed. It tried to explain human reactions to physical comfort, but the meanings were vague. Possible stimulation response. Indicates attraction, desire, or instinctual bonding. Pun intended, do not proceed further contact. She was warned. She should stop, but she didn't want to. Not yet. Something about this human made her feel alive. Like she wasn't just a nurse. Like she mattered to someone. Even if it was only because of a strange biological reaction. It still felt real. She took a step forward and whispered, "Jace." His eyes opened, just barely. He looked at her. Dazed, but he smiled. "Hey, Angel," he murmured. Valari's chest tightened. Angel. She didn't know what it meant exactly, but the way he said it made her legs weak. "You're in the recovery ward," she said softly. "You're safe." He blinked slowly. "Your voice again." "That's what kept me alive." Valari's mouth opened, but no words came out. No one had ever said anything like that to her in her life. "You don't even know me," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Don't need to. You were the first thing I felt when I came back from the dark." Valari's skin shimmered in soft light. Her emotions were in chaos. Logic told her to alert the doctors to end this. But her heart whispered, Stay. She sat on the edge of the chair near his bed. He reached out slowly, weakly, and placed his hand over hers. No strength. Just warmth. No command. Just presence. She didn't pull away. Outside, the security monitors blinked, unnoticed. Inside, something ancient was forming. Not medical. Not scientific. Something forbidden. But Valari no longer cared. Whatever was beneath that blanket, beyond. She was ready to find out. Valari sat in silence beside the human, her hands still under his. Jace's breathing was calm now, his fingers slightly curled around hers. The machines around him hummed quietly, but then something changed. Beep, beep dash beep dot. The monitor on his chest blinked rapidly, showing a sudden increase in heart rate. Valera's eyes snapped to the screen. That can't be right. She thought. She gently removed her hand from his and watched the monitor. Again, beep dot 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 dot, back to normal. She swallowed hard. Was his body responding to my touch? Her training never explained this. Zariel biology followed strict patterns. If a patient was injured, they healed. If they were stable, they rested. But humans, they were unpredictable, and now dangerous. Jace stirred again, his eyelids fluttering. He turned his head slowly toward her, lips dry, voice cracked. Are you still here? Valari nodded. You should rest. He gave a weak smile. Smell like stars. She blinked. What? Jace closed his eyes again, like space, warm and strange. Safe. Valari didn't respond. She didn't know how. Then the scanner on her belt buzzed. Curious, she pointed it at herself and gasped. Her own body temperature had risen. Slight increase in hormonal activity, signs of emotional arousal, signs of bonding. No. This couldn't be happening. Valari backed away, trying to breathe slowly. She was a professional, a medical nurse, not some youngling falling in love with a wounded warrior, and yet her hands still tingled from his touch. Suddenly the blanket shifted again, a deep, slow movement from beneath. Not just a twitch, but something alive, something responding. Her heart stopped. She turned quickly, pretending not to notice, but it was too late. Jace let out a groan, low, quiet, almost guilty. I'm sorry. He muttered. Look at him. Your body is just reacting to healing. He smiled faintly. No, it's reacting to you. Silence. Heavy silence. Valari didn't know how to respond. Her cheeks glowed violet again, giving away her feelings. I don't even know your name, he said. She turned her face halfway. Valari. That's beautiful. Don't say that. Why not? Because ... She hesitated. Because I'm not supposed to feel this way. Jace blinked slowly. Maybe you're not supposed to. But maybe I was meant to. Valari stared at him, her breathing unsteady. She couldn't deny it anymore. Her body reacted when he spoke. Her chest tightened when he smiled, and now the scanner confirmed it. Pulse between them. Not just biological, energetic, almost ... spiritual. Suddenly, a soft chime rang from the wall. Symbol appeared above the door. And glowing soul dash, match signal. Detected. Valera's eyes widened. No. This can't happen, she whispered. JC looked confused. What's that symbol mean? Valari stepped back, toward the panel. It means our bodies ... matched. Somehow the system thinks we're soul-linked. What does that mean for you? She turned slowly, looking straight into his eyes. It means I'll be reassigned, investigated, maybe even quarantined. For touching me, for ... connecting to you. They both went quiet again. Jace's voice lowered. I didn't ask for this, Valari. I know, but I don't regret it either. She stared at him. Was it possible that the universe had done this? That a broken, bleeding soldier from another planet could somehow match the spirit of a healer from across the stars? The soul match signal pulsed again, louder, brighter, and then a new sound echoed through the room. Footsteps, voices. The medical supervisors were coming. Valari turned fast and whispered, Don't speak about the signal. Let me handle it. Jace. frowned. Why? Because if they think you feel something for me too, they'll take us both. He looked at her. Then I'll lie. Valari paused. You'd do that? He gave her a tired smile. I owe you everything. Before she could respond, the door opened. 3 Zariel officers entered, tall and armored. One of them pointed at the glowing symbol. You touched the human? Valari stood tall. Only during medical care. The soul match protocol has been triggered? Valari's voice shook. It must be a system error. They stared at her. One stepped closer. Then why is your bonding gland active? Valari didn't answer. Jace suddenly sat up, ignoring his pain. That's all, no bond. No desire, just ... kindness. The officers narrowed their eyes. Valara's throat burned. She hated lying, but she hated the thought of being taken from him even more. The head officer turned. Observation begins now. Both of you will be watched. And then they left. Silence returned. Jace leaned back, eyes closed. Valari sat beside him again, more shaken than before. What happens now? He asked softly. Valari looked at her hand, then his. We pretend. Nothing's happening, while everything inside us is changing. And deep beneath the blanket, something stirred again. But this time, it wasn't just a reflex. It was a beginning. Asterisk. The days passed. But the tension inside room 27B only grew heavier. Valari was no longer allowed to be alone with Jace. 2. Ceiling drones hovered near the biobed at all times, recording every breath, every movement. Outside, 2 armored guards waited with scanners, watching her like she was infected. But the strange part, she was not with a disease, with something far worse in Zariel's society of forbidden connection. A bond with a human, her body kept. Reacting, even when she didn't want it to. When Jace spoke, her skin flushed. When he looked at her, her breath shortened. And when their hands brushed by, accident or not, her heart skipped like a broken wing beat. This wasn't normal, and it was becoming harder to hide. Jace, however, didn't seem afraid. If anything, he looked stronger every day. His wounds had mostly healed. His voice was fuller. His humor had returned. But Valari noticed something strange. He never looked at anyone but her. Not the other nurses. Not the medics. Not even the high-ranked officers. Only her. Every time. Like she was the only one keeping him tied to this world. One morning, during his physical checkup, Jace sat upright on the edge of his bed. The guards outside tensed. The ceiling drones moved in closer. Valari walked. Enacting combat inside, her hands were shaking. I'll scan your shoulder wound, she said. Jace grinned. You mean the one you healed 2 days ago? She tried not to smile. Standard protocol. He leaned slightly closer. Is it standard to keep dreaming about someone's voice? Valari froze. Don't say things like that, she whispered. Why not? Because the room is recording us. Every word, every breath. He looked around. So, if they think this is real, this bond, they'll separate us. I'll be sent to a reassignment center. You might be deported back to your war sector. Tilted his head, but what if I don't want to go? Valari stared at him. I'm not from your world, he said gently, but since I opened my eyes, all I've felt is drawn to you. She took a step back, panic rising. Stop. You don't understand. If you feel anything for me, hide it. They'll see it as contamination, a danger, a weakness. Jace stood now, slowly but steadily. No more. Blanket. No more hiding. His torso was bare, and his heartbeat visibly pulsed under his skin. Valeri's gaze dropped, then snapped away. He was beautiful in a wild, raw, way different from any Zariel male, less graceful, more powerful. And yet, it wasn't his body that shook her now. It was the truth in his voice. You feel it too, don't you? He asked softly. Valari turned her back. That doesn't matter. It matters to me. Then it happened. The scanner. On the wall, silent for 2 days, began to glow red again. Soul-bond. Pulse confirmed. Intensity. Rising, the drones lit up. The guards outside stormed in. Step away from the human. One barked. Valari raised her hands, stepping back quickly, but Jace didn't flinch. He stood between her and the guards. Weak, but firm. She didn't do anything, he said. She's infected by your presence, the officer shouted. This bond is unnatural. Against protocol, against science. Jace took a deep breath and looked straight at them. I don't care. Everyone froze. Even Valari. You'll be detained, the officer warned. You may be banned from all future transfers. You may be. Let me say it clearly, Jace. Interrupted. If you take her, I'll tear this facility apart with my bare hands. Valeri's eyes widened. Jace. Hey. He looked at her now, softer. I'm not some beast under a blanket anymore. I'm awake. Alive. And I know what I want. The ceiling drones buzzed. The signal was recording all of this. It would be sent to Central Command. It was too late now. No turning back. Valerie lowered her hands and walked toward him. Slowly, carefully. Every step she took broke a rule, but every step also felt right. When she stood before him, he gently took her hand, and this time she didn't pull away. The guards didn't stop them because they saw what the machines couldn't explain. To souls from different stars now burning in the same flame. The video of Jace standing up for Valari spread faster than wildfire. It reached the High Council of Zariel Prime within hours. Their response? Activate the reaction protocol. Inside the medical facility, all doors to room 27B were locked. Security shields surrounded the hallway. Valari sat quietly on the cold floor of an isolation chamber. Her wrists were scanned, her blood tested. Her heartbeat monitored every second. To the council, she was no longer a nurse. She was a risk. And Jace, he wasn't even considered a person anymore. He was labeled biological anomaly. They called it a Class X cross-species. Trigger event, something that hadn't happened in over 700 years. A soul bond with a human. Impossible, till now. In a different chamber, Jace sat chained to a wall. Not because he was dangerous, but because they feared what he meant. He stared at the glowing wall ahead of him. A hologram floated their list of warnings, terms, and threats in alien text. Remain silent. Deny the bond. Reject the connection. You'll be freed. He laughed bitterly. They were asking him to lie. To erase the only thing that had felt real since the day he landed on this star-forsaken planet. Valari, meanwhile, had a visitor. A high-ranking official in a silver cloak, cold eyes, sharp voice. Do you understand what you've done? Valari nodded slowly. Good. Then you'll sign the statement. You'll say the bond was a tech glitch. You'll return to the outer colonies. The human will be sent back to his command. Valari said nothing. The official raised an eyebrow. You think this is love? You're a nurse. He's a soldier. From a war-torn world? You touched him, and now your biology is confused. Valari finally looked up. My biology didn't reach for him. My soul did. Silence. The official's lips tightened. You will regret this. Already did. Not because she touched Jace, but because she couldn't again. That night, in his chamber, Jace began to feel strange. His chest burned. His thoughts blurred. A sharp pain bloomed behind his eyes. He was shaking. He pressed a hand to the wall and whispered Valari. He didn't know why, but saying her name calmed the fire in his chest barely. Then came the voice of the AI system. Bond disruption detected. Host is in physiological conflict. Neural stability dropping. They had lied. The bond wasn't just emotional, it was physical now. And if they stayed apart too long, might kill them both. The next morning, the council summoned Valari to a tribunal. They spoke through cold translators. This, attachment, is a side effect. The bond must be severed before irreversible fusion occurs. Once complete, your DNA will shift. Your children, if any, will be neither Zariel nor human. This cannot be allowed. Valari clenched her fists. And if I refuse, then he dies, and you with him. She went quiet. and then she took something from under her robe. A bind-stone, old, forbidden, glowing red. Gasps echoed through the chamber. No one uses that anymore. One elder snapped. Valari stared them down. Then let this be the first in centuries. The bindstone hovered in her palm. If a human touched it willingly and spoke her name, the bond would seal. Forever no law, no army, no council could undo it. Back in his chamber, the door suddenly opened. Valari stood there. No guards, no cameras, just her. She stepped forward. Holding the stone, Jace looked weak, his skin pale, his hands trembling. Valari, he whispered. She placed the stone in his hand. This is your choice, she said. If you take me, you take all of me, even if it means becoming something this galaxy fears. He looked down at the stone. It pulsed softly. Then he looked at her and smiled. I'd rather die with you than live without you. His hand tightened around the bind-stone. He whispered her name. Valari. Stone blazed, bright, hot, unstoppable. The bond was sealed. Outside, alarms screamed inside. Two souls fused under alien light, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. Asterisk. The bond was sealed. The bindstone, now fused with Jace's palm, had vanished into his skin like fire into dry wood. Its crimson glow flickered once, then spread through his veins like molten light. His body shook violently, not from pain but from something deeper. Change.var. I rushed to hold him as his legs gave out. He collapsed against her chest, panting. You didn't have to, she whispered. I wanted to. Jace muttered, his voice strained. If the universe says you're mine, then I'll burn for you. Inside the chamber, red sirens wailed. Elite guards in black armor surrounded the doors, weapons drawn. The council demanded separation. Scientists begged to study the bond, but it was too late. The process had already begun. Inside Valeri's body, the transformation was quiet but undeniable. Her skin felt warmer, her senses sharper, her thoughts louder. She could hear his heart beating without touching him. She could feel when he blinked. Somewhere deep inside, her DNA was rewriting itself, adapting to his presence, welcoming it. She wasn't losing herself. She was becoming something more. Back in the council's command tower, chaos spread like a virus. They've sealed the bond. That stone hasn't been activated in 7 centuries. What if this fusion creates a hybrid species? What if others follow their example? They've broken our laws, no one, old voice said calmly. They've broken our limits. By the time the guards forced open the doors, they were too late. Jace and Valari stood hand in hand. The bond, now visible as a faint red glow connecting their wrists, pulsing gently like a shared heartbeat. One guard stepped forward. You will come with us, immediately. Valari nodded. We'll go, but together. The guard glared. The council will never approve of this. Jace stepped closer. Then tell the council they're already too late. He raised his arm. A bolt of red energy sparked from his fingertips raw. Untrained but powerful, the guards froze. He had powers, now a gift of the bond. So did Valari, and they had no idea how far those powers would grow. Later that night, in a high-security isolation dome, they were finally alone again. No glass, no scanners, just silence. Valari sat by the window, staring at the stars. I feel different, she said softly. Me too, Jace replied. Lying beside her on the floor, they weren't lovers, not yet, but the way their souls leaned toward each other, it was only a matter of time. She looked at her hand, now marked with a thin red line that pulsed when Jace touched her. It doesn't hurt, she whispered. Should it? I thought it would. I thought changing like this, giving up part of my species, would feel like dying. Jace moved beside her and gently pressed his forehead against hers. Maybe it's not dying, he said. Maybe it's evolving.
Outside the dome.
Scientists studied data in silence. The bond wasn't just emotional or physical, it was rewriting biology. Valeri's healing abilities had increased tenfold. Jace's strength had nearly tripled. Their brainwaves synchronized even during sleep. But more than that, they began speaking without words, finishing each other's thoughts, feeling each other's pain. When one smiled, the other relaxed. When one cried, the other felt it too, and that terrified the council more than any weapon ever could. Because if love could truly fuse two souls from different stars, what else could it change? On the third night, a new message arrived. From Earth, the humans had seen the footage, and their message was simple. We don't care who your people are. If you hurt him or her, we will come. For the first time in years, the Zariel Council felt fear, not because of war, but because of unity. Because one small touch, one blanket. One nurse, one forbidden bond, had started a chain reaction. Across the stars. Back inside the dome, Valari whispered, "What happens if the world turns against us?" Jace pulled her gently into his arms. Then we turned toward each other. Her eyes closed, and for the first time in her life, she felt complete. Not as a nurse, not as a Zoriel, but as a woman, held in the arms of the one fate had chosen. Their touch was now destiny, and the galaxy was watching. The room was quiet again, no alarms, no guards, no machines buzzing in panic. Just two people, sitting on a shared bed inside a dome no longer sealed but still watched by the galaxy. Jace and Valerie sat side by side, wrapped in silence. Outside, reporters and drones floated through the sky. News channels across the stars played the same clip again and again, a human and an alien, holding hands under red light. But inside the dome, things felt slower, softer, real. Rayoler leaned back into the soft blanket, the same one she used to cover him when he was unconscious. It was still warm, still familiar. She smiled without meaning to. Jace looked at her, confused but content. "What's funny?" She shook her head, resting her cheek against her shoulder. "It all started with this blanket," he chuckled. "Yeah, you were just trying to clean me. You scared me, you know, when something moved beneath it." He raised an eyebrow. "Scared you?" "I saved you from being bored." Valari laughed quietly. There it was again, that strange, impossible thing humans brought into every room. Light. Not the kind that came from suns or stars, but the kind that came from inside the heart. Outside, things were still tense. The Zariel Council hadn't approved the bond, but they couldn't undo it either. Earth's command had made their stance clear. Touch them. The two species stood at the edge of something new. Not war, not peace, but possibility. And possibility is always dangerous back inside. Valari stood and walked toward the small control panel near the bed. With one tap, the dome's ceiling turned. Transparent above them was the open galaxy. Billions of stars, so many paths. So many futures. Jace walked up behind her and gently took her hand. "You still feel it?" he asked. She nodded, like a thread pulling between us. The red glow on their wrists shimmered slightly. It didn't hurt. It didn't even feel strange anymore. It felt right, natural, beautiful. Beautiful. Vera turned to him, her voice almost a whisper. "Do you ever wonder what happens next?" Jace nodded. "Every day? And does it scare you?" He looked her in the eyes, then gently pulled her back toward the bed. They sat under the same blanket. Only this time it wasn't medical. It was... "There's no Jace," said. "It doesn't scare me." "Why not?" "'Cause whatever happens next, I know you'll be beside me." Valari blinked. Her vision blurred slightly, not from fear, from joy. Later that night, the bindstone, once silent, glowed again. Just once, not in warning, not in pain, but like a heartbeat. Then a soft ping echoed from the med scan beside the bed. Valari leaned forward. It showed something new, something growing. Her hand shot to her stomach, eyes wide. The scanner didn't lie, neither did the bond. Jace saw her face and frowned. "What is it?" She turned slowly, eyes filled with light. I think we created something." He blinked, like a baby. "What?" She nodded slowly. Not quite Zarel. Not quite human. Jace sat back, stunned, then whispered, a child of both worlds. Valari looked up at the stars through the transparent dome. Maybe that's why fate brought us together. Not just to love, but to build what neither of our species could. Alone, outside, far away, a silent vote happened in the Zariel Council. The final message was broadcast. The bond stands. We do not understand it, but we will not destroy it. Let the future decide its worth. In the end, it didn't start with a kiss. It didn't start with a war. It started with a blanket and a curious hand. And now, a new species would be born, not in violence, not in fear, but in touch, and in the silence between two hearts that found each other when they weren't supposed to, far away. Other nurses began to look at human patients differently. Soldiers started wondering what more the stars could bring. And in the darkness of the galaxy, something bright was finally stirring.